I've noticed a trend with my traditional art lately. Since over the years I've gravitated towards digital art, more and more of my art style and process became more and more reliant on digital art features, or most notably how I render things. Typically I have 3 shading layers, one for general shadows, one for rendering, then one more for casted shadows. Side note, I have no idea if that's what they're actually called, but that's what I've been calling them. Of course, traditional art doesn't have layers, and I've been so much of an alcohol marker loyalist to ever consider there might be another way. Out of all of the art mediums I've tried, alcohol markers are still my favorite, but I don't have to abandon them completely. The more I thought about it, the more I realized watercolors are basically like the multiplied layers of the traditional art world, so I really wanted to try combining them. I'd place my general and casted shadows with watercolors, and then render everything with markers. And since this video is, maybe, coming out during Pride Month, I wanted to make some fan art of my favorite new anime, Go For It Nakamura. I decided to draw on some Bristol paper since that's one of my go-tos for alcohol marker drawings, and I figured it could probably handle a couple of layers of watercolor just fine. I felt very excited to try this out, so I wanted to jump right in. This got off to a strange start. But after that little mishap, I was ready to actually start. One of my favorite scenes in the show was the scene where they're at the aquarium, so I wanted to draw some fan art based off of that. I wanted to frame it as if we were in the very back of the octopus tank, seeing Hirose admiring the octopus and Nakamura being the gay disaster that he is, but I immediately ran into a couple of problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Question mark? Listen, I don't know how many legs an octopus has. The other ones are behind it, it's fine. So I got so excited to draw this octopus, I don't know if I left much room for my boys or everything about them. When I decided that I wanted to make this a drawing, I was so prepared to learn about octopus as a whole species. I don't know anything about them. And I was like, I gotta figure out what species this is, so then that way I can, like, draw accurately. It's octopus. Generic cartoon octopus. So, that makes my job a little easier. I started my sketch with the octopus mostly because I knew it would be one of the harder parts of the drawing. I'm a big animal lover in real life, but I don't always like drawing them. I also struggle with organic shapes like rocks, so both of that and the octopus were pretty heavily referencing the screenshots I took from the show, but I was sure to do my best to make them both seem like my own. I knew the aquarium gravel would also be annoying to draw, but since it's just a bunch of small circular shapes, I figured I could just make some scribbles in the sketch, then actually make it look like something in the line art and rendering phases. My comfort zone with art by far is people, but even so, I knew there'd be a bit of struggles with these two. The art style in Go For It Nakamura is inspired by old school retro anime, which is very cool to see, but it's also so far from the art styles I've taken inspiration from throughout my whole life. I love the style and animation in the show, so more than anything, I wanted the characters to be recognizable. For this being my first real crack at drawing them, I'm fairly happy with how they turned out, but I definitely want to actually sit down and figure out how to translate them into my style. Overall, I really liked how the sketch turned out, and I was really eager to get into the line art. The aquarium scene is full of blues, so I wanted to use my blue micron liners. I started with a thin 005, then went in later with a thicker pen to add some depth. I also decided to use a purple liner I have to help push the shadows a bit. Other than that, my line art process is pretty straightforward for this piece, so while I do that, let's hear about today's sponsor. Thank you to jpfans for sponsoring this video. jpfans is a company dedicated to helping people from around the world buy the many wonderful products sold in Japan. From clothing to trading cards to anime figures to home decor, jpfans is exactly what you need if you're interested in Japanese goods. If you don't live in Japan or speak Japanese, trying to shop on Japanese websites can be a big struggle. First, you have to depend on unreliable translators, then you have to worry about currency conversions, and if you're anything like me, even just thinking about the concept of math is enough to make you check out. And on top of that, you have to worry about finding places that actually ship to your country or accept your currency. jpfans takes care of all of that for you. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you like anime and manga, and as you can imagine, jpfans has plenty of anime merch. There's also a ton of stationery items to choose from, and you'd understand how exciting that is if you know how big stationery is in Japan. Regardless of what you're looking for, you have access to places like Japanese Mercari and the J-Direct items, so odds are you'll find it. Ordering from jpfans is simple. First, add the items to your cart. Then when you're ready to check out, select the products you'd like to buy and hit submit. After your payment is processed and your order is confirmed, jpfans shopping agents will use that money to purchase the items on your behalf and store them in their warehouse. And while your things are in the warehouse, you also have the opportunity to look over everything to be sure everything is intact. Once the shopping agents have finished buying everything and everything is in the warehouse, you select your shipping preferences and everything is sent from the warehouse to you. Psst. And if you use the link in the description,
you can get 8 shipping coupons worth a total of $86 US.
jpfans is truly a great service, and now that I'm done recording this voiceover, I'll be looking at their site to try a few Japan-exclusive special edition manga I've had my eyes on. Thanks again to jpfans for sponsoring this video. Now, let's check in with Drawing Oliver to see how the line art's going. I don't know where that extra line next to Hirosei's mouth came from, and I forgot one of his fingers. Line art for him is going great. While we wait for these inks to dry, there's a couple of things that I would like to test out. First, I want to figure out a light source. I like how my note here says more squished, and that I made it longer. But anyways, 1, I want to test where a light source is. And 2, I want to test whether I should do watercolors and then marker, or marker and then watercolor. Instead of drawing directly on this, I'm going to plan out the colors on my tablet, just because that way I get a little more freedom with the things I can do. I guess first I'll just block in a general outline of... I'm also coming to a realization that I probably should have taken a picture of the actual drawing instead of the thumbnail, but, you know, we're already here. It's fine. Things are mostly the same. It's okay. I want to be sure I have a lot of dark colors on the foreground here. Okay, I think that's good enough. I also don't know which watercolors I want to use. I'm using salt. There's dust coming off them and shit. This one is small, so I'm probably not gonna use this one. Just go with good old reliable koi. Place a piece of paper on this so I don't have an obscene. You might be wondering, why aren't you just moving it? I taped it to the desk. I guess first things first, I'll figure out which of these blues I want to use. So looking at this scene, it looks very pure blue. Definitely think I should do with this one in general, but maybe I can use this one or a mix of both of them for some of the darker shades. I should probably test it out with a few different colors just to be sure they're working how I want them to. Test out this one, try a skin tone, and then we'll do a seaweed color. Look at that. 3 different colors I'm testing, and they're all from a different brand. So first I'll lay down each of these on their own, and then I'll test them over these swatches of watercolor once they're a little more dry. So we got a skin tone, we got our red, and we got our green. Definitely, I think I need to go lighter with the watercolor. If I'm feeling brave, I can try a gradient of like lighter to darker. Thing is, by doing it this way, I'm worried about getting a little too much texture. Texture isn't a bad thing, it's just not exactly what I had planned for this drawing. That was dry enough. Now let's see what the marker looks like on top. I feel like the effect is generally the same. I think I like this one a bit more just because I feel like it leaves the colors of the markers a lot more undisturbed, whereas here it has those like dark freckles in it. So I think we'll lay down the watercolor first. I feel like over the years of me trying to do watercolors, I found so much mixed information. Like sometimes people will be like, watercolors are very forgiving, and then other people will be like, watercolors are the most unforgiving art supplies I've ever used. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what to believe. After figuring out my order of operations and almost forgetting to erase my pencil lines, I jumped right into adding the watercolor, starting with the general shadows. If there's anything about this drawing I would change, it would probably be this stage. I added a blue gradient to the whole drawing to act as my general shadows, and I think this definitely made all of my colors more cohesive, since every color I added automatically had a bluish tint to it, but it ended up being just that, just a gradient, and not the general shadows I typically do. I didn't want to add another layer of watercolors after I did the markers because I wanted to avoid that speckled effect that I found in my color testing. Adding the general shadows helps to give a more dramatic look to everything, which I've really come to love, so I'd definitely really like to try this again, but with another more proper general shading layer. But after waiting for that to dry, I added one more layer of watercolors for the casted shadows. Unless I'm working with a marker company for a video, I'll very rarely use just one brand of alcohol markers for finished illustrations. I use the majority of Copic and Ardex with the occasional Sanjoki marker and exactly one Ohu marker. To this day, I regret to inform you that Copic markers are the best brand I've used, in part because they can be refilled. And this is why we cover our drawings, so long as you can put the ink in the barrel. I know I don't do traditional art videos as much anymore, but in case you were wondering if I am still as clumsy as I used to be, Take a guess. Now that I look like I committed a small murder, I had to start thinking about the best way to color this octopus. I usually try to divide whatever part of my drawing I'm coloring into smaller sections in a way that I can hide any streaks that might happen. Like if I'm coloring a shirt, I'll make my strokes and divide the shirt into sections that flow with the folds and the wrinkles of the fabric. But this is an octopus. They don't have any of that. So I decided to actually use Depending on the quality of the brush nib you're using, it can actually cover a large area on its own, but if you use one nib more than the other on your markers, your lesser used nib is usually a lot more juicy and is better for covering those larger areas. Maybe there's a reason we don't use chisel nibs. Usually. Luckily, I was able to make everything blend smoothly, so I finished putting in the base tone and the highlight colors, reswatched the eye colors because I forgot to write down the markers I plan to use, and added the darkest shades. I also used a white colored pencil to add highlights, which I tend to do in all of my drawings anyways, but I typically do this at the end when everything is rendered. I'll be honest, I was just really excited with how the octopus was coming out. Look at him, he's just a little guy. Since some of the shading was already done with the watercolors, I really felt like I was flying through the marker phase, which in this case actually ended up being a good thing because that aquarium gravel was about as fun to render as you'd think. Other than that, my process for rendering was the same as usual, which is mostly just a lot of layering and feather blending. And since you can say I'm an old pro at alcohol markers, I was able to barely pay attention to what I was doing so I could watch my friend play Ace Attorney. Also, I am filming a drawing, so if you say anything highly controversial, I'm gonna put it in my video. Look, is making this video my job? Yes. Do I like my job? Also yes, but gaming stops for no one, and nothing says high elo gameplay like clicking to the next text box in a visual novel. On the bright side, I can let you all in on the very important conversations me and my friends have. Edgeworth is officially in more Ace Attorney games than Phoenix.
Oh shit, that does make sense actually, because he's in the investigations games.
Yeah, because like Edgeworth isn't in game 4, and Phoenix is, but he has 2 spin-off games. And he even shows up in the Professor Layton game.
It's his series.
Yeah.
It's his.
Based off of like popularity polls, I think he is like the fan favorite.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, he's my favorite as well.
I mean,
like, I am a bit basic.
He's
but
cute,
he is my
gay, and traumatized. What's not to like?
And he wears a cravat, like.
And he's the red to Phoenix's blue.
Yeah.
And I feel like people always like the red one more.
Yeah, I mean, that tracks. The only other thing that I can think of, that follows that pattern just off the bat would be, I don't even remember their names from Voltron.
Keith and Lance.
Yeah, them.
I can never forget. I've been there too long. I have debated rewatching it and making a video essay about it to be like, what happened here?
I think you should.
Yes, that did spark an in-depth discussion about the writing of Netflix's Voltron in the year of 2026. But back to the drawing, coloring our boys was pretty straightforward, but I really wanted to try coloring Nakamura's hair with the same colors that they use in the show. His hair is black, but leans very blue, and has 2 highlight colors. One being a lighter blue, and the other being a very light yellow. I loved the way his hair was colored from the moment I saw it, so I didn't even question whether or not I should try to use those colors. I don't know if you can tell, but I've thought a lot about how I was going to go about this drawing before I even touched pen to paper. I mentioned in some of my recent Twitch streams a couple of times about how much the show has been on my mind, but even if I didn't outright say that, I think it's starting to show.
All is well, sorry, I'm eating popcorn and I just dropped one.
Oh, it'd be like that sometimes.
We went to the cinema on Monday and we bought some to eat and we opened it, but we did not take a single bite of it.
Oh my god, in the episode of Go For It Nakamura that came out today, they went to a movie.
Yo!
You're just like
Just
them.
like me for real. Yeah.
God, there's this fucking fruit fly who has been in my room for 2 days and it will not leave me alone!
Oh, bro.
It keeps flying in my face and trying to go in my ears.
Wants to be your friend.
I don't want to be his friend. Oh my god, that fruit fly was just crawling all over the picture of my boys.
Oh no!
How dare he! This fucking fruit fly. So fuck off.
No. Bro just wants to see some courtroom drama.
This is just like in that one episode of Go For It Nakamura where the cockroach showed up in the classroom.
Oh damn. Bro sees an insect and thinks of Nakamura. I love that for you.
Yes. I think I might be cooked.
Maybe a little bit, but that's okay.
For the finishing touches, I blocked in the background with alcohol markers, then used a white colored pencil to add some shine to the glass so it doesn't look like Nakamura and Hirose decided to take a dip in the tank. I was pretty happy with how the drawing came out, but after finishing it, I came to one horrible realization. Not to distract from this court case too much, but I'm finished with this drawing and I've come to the realization that I didn't put anything underneath my drawing before I taped it to my desk.
Oh.
So, time to see if it bled through and got marker on my desk. Place your bets.
I bet yes, unfortunately. I don't think it has much real flip.
Here we are. Moment of truth. I am a god and a master of my craft.
Oh, is it not? Is it not?
It is marker free.
Oh my god.
And there we have it. Overall, I'd say this experiment was a success. Like I mentioned, there's a couple of things I would have done differently, but I've definitely learned more about how watercolor and alcohol markers interact with each other, so I'd love to give this another go applying the things that I've learned. Let me know what you think of this drawing, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss when I try this again. I'm already thinking about making another video where I use the same process, but with a certain everybody's favorite husband, so be sure to stick around if you want to see that. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go rewatch Go For It Nakamura for the 12th time. As of recording this audio, I still have no idea whether or not this video is going to be posted within the time frame of Pride Month, so, happy Pride with a question mark in parentheses. I know I mentioned my Twitch account, but I do want to say that I have been streaming on my Twitch more regularly, so be sure to go over there if you want to sit and draw with me, or play video games, or whatever it is that I will be doing on those streams. I do also have a VOD channel for anybody who isn't able to make it to those streams, so you can find that in the description. But other than that, I just want to say a quick thank you to all of my lovely patrons, especially the tier 3 and 4 members whose names you are seeing on screen now. If you want a shout out at the end of my video, or other perks like high resolution printables and wallpapers, behind the scenes comic work, and much more, feel free to head over to my Patreon. But yeah, thank you again to jpfans for sponsoring this video, and I hope you liked the drawing that I made in this video, and everybody should go watch Go For It Nakamura. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.